proof. Time to awaken, challenge their proof. Cut the wires, shatter the screen, unplug the lies, reveal what's unseen. Twist off, 360, no filters, just truth. Time to awaken, challenge their proof. Time to awaken, challenge their proof.
This is Tuesday 360 Politics Unplugged. Cut the wires, shatter the screen, unplug the lies, reveal what's unseen. Tuesday 360, no filters, just truth. Time to awaken, challenge their proof. Welcome to Tuesday 360 Politics Unplugged. This explosive episode is gonna talk about variety of issues. In this explosive episode, we break all the rules. We're going to talk about June 12th struggle, the betrayal, the unfinished revolution. We're going to deep dive into how Nigeria's previous election was crushed by the military dictatorship and why June 12th must never be reduced to mere public holiday. Number two, we're going to talk about opposition that has no conviction, no compass. We expose the moral bankruptcy of the main opposition parties in Nigeria. Number three, we're going to talk about the genocidal ministers of Israeli regime, Bezalel, Smotrich, and Ben-Gvir, sanctioned. The wall closing. Western government are finally sanctioning Israeli war criminals. But is it justice or a damage control? We connect dots on apartheid, complicity, and resistance. No filters, no peer, no apologies. Subscribe, share, and join Unplugged Revolution. June 12th, the struggle, the betrayal, the unfinished revolution. June 12th is not just a date, it is a monument, a battle cry, a one that has refused to heal. On June 12, 1993, Chief MKO Abiola won what was widely regarded as freest, purest, and most credible Nigeria's election in history. The Nigerian people spoke loudly and clearly and chose change through the ballot box. But a military regime of General Ibrahim Babangida, drunk on power and allergic to progress, annulled that election. They erased the voices of the people with the stroke of pen. They erased the people's voice with the stroke of pen. They shattered hopes. They sparked a fire. That fire became June 12, now branded Democracy Day. But let's be clear, June 12 is not a celebration. It is a reminder of what was stolen, a reminder of those who fought and in many cases died for a Nigeria that still doesn't exist. That Nigeria that they fought for is a democratic Nigeria where everyone matters. And General Babangida, in his book that wrote last year, claims Abacha pressured him to cancel the election. But Abacha is no longer alive to respond. His family rightfully pushed back because history cannot be reduced to blame game played by surviving criminals trying to launder their legacy. We will never forget, we will not forget who annulled the people's will. And we will not forget who murdered the people's mandate. And we must not allow those responsible to rewrite the story. They should be facing tribunals, not Lunch's book. They should be facing tribunals, not launching books. Let's also be brutally honest. The democracy Nigeria returned to in 1999 is not the democracy that was fought for. We traded a military dictatorship for civilian elitism. Today, we have democracy of the rich by the rich for the rich, a democracy where the poor are seen but not heard, where elections are ritual, not revolutions. Once one activist said, if the people in power do not scare the four, that democracy is not working. I'm paraphrasing. If the people in power do not fear the poor, that democracy is not working. It's imperial democracy. And that is where we are. We have ballot box, but not the power. We have elections, but no accountability. We have politicians, but not public servants. June 12 must not be reduced to a public holiday. It must remain a political awakening. It must remind us that democracy is not just about casting votes. It is about demanding justice, raising our voices, and holding power to account. Democracy, we must go beyond paper. Promises in the Constitution, it must be felt on the ground, in the street, in the home of jobless Nigerians, in the markets. Women must feel it. In the classrooms, on the dinner table of poor Nigerians. If democracy is not delivering for the people, then it is just a hollow slogan. June 12 was a cry for Nigeria where every citizen matter, not just the generals, the billionaires, or the political godfathers. Until we build that kind of Nigeria, a real people's democracy, the spirit of June 12 remains unfinished business. Don't forget, this is Twisdom 360 Politics Unplugged. We're going to go to our next issue, that is Nigeria's opposition parties and Nigerian opposition class that has no conviction, no compass whatsoever. Nigeria's opposition parties, especially the PDP and LP, the main ones, that are the main opposition parties we have in this country, have once again exposed their moral emptiness and ideological bankruptcy. There is no conviction, no compass, no clear ideological direction, just noise, betrayal, and personal ambition. One day, a politician launches a scathing attack on a party A, calling it corrupt, anti-people, and clueless. The next day, you find him in Party A, grinning in a photo-op, clinking champagne glasses with the same political criminal he once condemned. This is not politics. This is shameless opportunism. Let's be clear and call it with its name. This is shameless opportunism. And take somebody like Daniel Buala or FCT minister, and here's some so-called PDP figures now neck deep in the APC government. These are the same G5 actors. Nyesom Wiki, who sabotaged the PDP's chances in the last election, and they are now with his friends Sheyi Makinde and others at the loggerhead. They are at each other's throat. Look at Governor Umo Eno, the Akwa Ibom governor who just defected to the ruling party. Is this kind of opposition that is meant to form a coalition, strong enough to challenge this regime by 2027? And take the latest example of Otumba Shegun Shomi, once one of the PDP's most vocal firebrands, now seen meeting with the president, the same president whose legitimacy his party once rejected. This is a man who in multiple interviews riffed into the Tinubu government and ridiculed those working with it. And he even criticized Daniel Buala when Buala went to Tinubu. Now he's sounding like a professional press singer, waxing lyricals about the president's cerebral capacity. Is this politics? No, this is ideological prostitution. At the very same time that these political actors are playing musical chairs, the PDP and LP pretend they are getting together with other groups to form a coalition for 2027. What kind of coalition loses its most outspoken voices to the very party it claims to resist? These people have no idea of principle. They have no iota of principle. The Nigerian masses cannot put their trust in these recycled figures, this so-called opposition is not loyal to the people. They are loyal to survival, to power, to state proximity. It is the same tight cabal hopping between three parties, wearing different uniforms, playing the same script. They do not represent change. They represent stagnation. What kind of opposition party says it will remove fuel subsidy, but then attacks Tinubu for doing exactly that, only to claim that he did it the wrong way? No substance, no vision, no substance, no alternative, just desperate noise. If there is any true opposition in this country, it is the revolutionary left, not this recycled political prostitutes. And yes, we mean that. We don't need landlords in Babariga who move from party to party to stay relevant. We need a revolutionary Nigeria, a just people-powered nation where politics means service, not survivals, where ideology matters more than elite friendship. The so-called opposition is bleeding because it has no soul. Until it embraces radical transformation, it will remain irrelevant, a shadow chasing its own tail, while the country burns. Don't forget, this is Twisden 360 Politics Unplugged. Smotrich and Ben-Gvir sanction. The walls close in. Australia, Canada, New Zealand, Norway, and the United Kingdom have collectively imposed sanctions on Israeli ministers Bezalel Smotrich and Itamar Ben-Gvir. These sanctions come in response to the two ministers' repeated incitement of violence in the occupied West Bank, where extremist rhetoric and active support for expansion of illegal Israeli settlements have escalated violence against Palestinians. Smotrich, Israel's finance minister, notoriously called for wiping out all the Palestinian village of Huwara, while Ben-Gvir, the far-right national security minister, has openly praised settler attacks. Both men have used their state positions to normalize and promote apartheid policies and settler terrorism and outright fascism under the banner of statehood. Those guys are criminals. These people are the Kahanist ideologue. Their actions are not isolated slips. They are a part of the deliberate ideological war machine designed to erase Palestinian identity, history, and life. It is a genocidal project wrapped in the language of security, backed by tanks and F-16s, and endorsed by decades of impunity. The sanctions imposed are significant: travel bans and asset freezes that block the ministers from entering any of the pipe sanctioning nations and cut off their access to financial systems abroad. These measures are loud and clear. Message: you cannot incite genocide, war, commit war crimes, and walk freely in the international arena. But let's be clear, this action, while welcome, is painfully late. This Western government, the Australia of this world, the UK and Canada especially, have been complicit in Israel's decade-long occupation and operation of Palestinians. They have sold arms, issued blanket diplomatic protections, and allowed settler colonial policies to flourish unchecked. These sanctions, symbolically, as important as they might be symbolically, one only came after decades of bloodshed, displacement, and devastation. This isn't moral awakening, it is damage control. It is a crack in the facade of support caused not by the state morality, but by mass pressure from global civil society, from student encampments, street protests, boycott movements, BDS, and bold voices refusing to be silenced while Gaza burns. And still we must say it's enough. Sanctioning two fascists while continuing arm and defense the very state that enables them is not justice, it is politics. Real accountability will mean ending the arms sales, cutting military aid, repairing Israeli officials to the ICC, and supporting the Palestinian self-determination and real sanction. Thank you. This is Twisden 360.